Hey guys, Quicksilver Gaming here, bringing you another episode of Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. I am starting a new campaign because in the 1.4 beta branch, the saves are reset quite often, and I figured I would show off a 1940s French campaign, or at least as many episodes as I can do before another reset happens or the beta goes live. And this was quite a challenge to build ships as historically accurate as I could. I wanted to actually build a what-if French fleet for World War II. So as you can see here, I have the battleship, the Richelieu class battleship. And this bad boy is quite fun. It has the quadruple 15-inch turrets on the front. Absolutely ridiculous build here. And then it just has 3 turrets of 6-inch guns in the rear, and then 6 turrets of these little dual, actually they're 3.9-inch guns. The French had some very strange calibers that they used. Overall, I'm fairly pleased with this build of the Richelieu. The pitch is obviously a little high. The roll is very close to being in the yellow, and the engine efficiency is not fantastic, but I did manage to make the ship 32 knots. I could have probably reduced the range down a little, actually, and that would have helped the engine efficiency. It doesn't need to be that large of a range, but otherwise it's pretty standard for 1940, and I even went with shaft 3, auxiliary 3, and a diesel engine. And I managed to go all the way up to anti-torpedo 5, which I never do. It has modern 2 for the armor, auto-loading 2 so that these ridiculous 15-inch guns can fire at about 1 round per minute, as opposed to, I think it was 0.7. Otherwise, it has the stereoscopic rangefinder, sonar 3, RDF, and Gen 3. I put the RDF on because one of the Reddit commenters mentioned that just the extra bonus, the flagship communication bonus, the gun aiming speed, and the reconnaissance does help enough. And I had the weight, so why not? It's fairly armored too, 16-inch belt, 8-inch main deck. At this point in the war, you're mostly taking plunging fire, so you want your deck to be pretty heavily armored. Turrets are heavily armored, and then you can see the calibers down here. So, as I said, overall, fairly happy with how this build worked. Sometimes making a ship in a historical way doesn't work at all, and this is very, very historically accurate when you look at the profile of the Richelieu, outside of the million other tiny guns that it would have had, but you know, you don't need to put those on your battleship. So the next one is the Dunkerque, which sort of classified as a battleship, but it's more of a battlecruiser. So I used the battlecruiser hull for this one, and I tried to make it as historically accurate as possible once again. So it looks very much like the Richelieu. The Richelieu was designed after the Dunkerque and basically designed off of it. So once again, it has the forward-facing quadruple 13-inch guns, and then it has 3 turrets that are quad turrets of these 5.1-inch guns. Would point out that the French have a lot of rear-facing guns. Not to, you know, poke fun of them too much, but I find that a little bit funny. And then it has dual turrets here. They're also 5.1-inch guns, but there's only 2 barrels per. Interestingly, even though I have them all set to the same length, they're of a slightly different caliber. So I wish you could set the caliber for all the size of the guns as opposed to just increasing them by percentage. And then it has a bunch of these little 1.5-inch guns on it. I didn't put them on the Richelieu, but I put it on this ship mainly because I had tons of spare weight, and I really didn't know what to do with all that spare weight. And generally I use my battle cruisers to take out convoys, other cruisers, destroyer groups, things like that, even though these quad 13-inch guns don't really lend themselves to doing that, but figured I would just load up on all the 1.5-inch guns that the Dunkerque class had. Otherwise, very similar to the Richelieu. I did manage to make it fairly light. I could have made it lighter, but then the ship length squeezes too small, and it's my main criticism of ship design in this game is that the ships are not long enough without going to absurd tonnage. They need to be longer in their current tonnage brackets. You can't make certain historical ships on the correct hull due to their length restrictions, and you'll see that later with the destroyer. But otherwise, top of the line propulsion here. It's 30 knots. That's what the Dunkirk was. Normally, I like my battle cruisers to be faster than my battleships, but the Richelieu is actually a really fast battleship. But went fairly historically accurate as much as I could. Anti-torpedo 5 again, which is ridiculous. All the crazy equipment here. Auto 2 reloading. Really need Auto 2 for the quad turrets, because the quad turrets take quite a long time to reload. And then it's fairly armored up, and these are sort of the caliber changes I made. So in order to make 1.5-inch guns, you have to do a 2-inch gun and then do a minus half-inch diameter. So that is the Dunkerque Battlecruiser. And then for cruisers, I went back and forth, and I decided to make a theoretical cruiser. It was proposed, it was designed, they just never finished them out. Or I don't even know if they started them, but it's the St. Louis class cruiser for the French. And I tried to make it as historically accurate as possible. Some of the secondary guns are a little bit off. And I think the funnel is off because the second bridge isn't correct for the St. Louis class. But the St. Louis class was going to have 3 turrets, 3 barrels each of 8-inch guns, and then a bunch of 3.9-inch guns, and then a bunch of 1.5-inch guns. So pretty nifty little cruiser. I made it as small as possible because this was actually a weird situation where the length... Well, the length is actually accurate. This is close to the proposed displacement weight. This is sort of what the profile would look like for the St. Louis class. 32.5 knots for speed, and then pretty good propulsion here. I only went with the turbine 2 there, and anti-torpedo 3. I could have probably gone higher on anti-torpedo. Now I'm looking at the weight here, but maybe we can refit it later. Didn't put any depth charges on it because it didn't have any in the proposed plans, but all the high-end equipment. I went ahead and put stereoscopic on there just because, once again, Reddit commenter mentioned, once you go over 10,000 meters, the stereoscopic kind of outpaces the coincidence. So some of these guns have, their base range is that they can go well over 10,000 meters. You can see these 8-inch guns can go up to 22,500 meters there. So went with the stereoscopic there, and then it's about as armored as it can get for this cruiser hull. 8.6 inches was the max belt for this cruiser hull. I absolutely love the changes they made to armor on the different hulls. I know some people don't because they like to, create this crazy, ridiculous fantasy ships, and that's fun. It's not necessarily how I want to play. I want to play like a mix of historical and semi-realistic mixed in with, what ifs here and there. So I like that the different hulls have caps on their main belt. It also makes ships squishier, which makes combat faster, and I appreciate that greatly. There's nothing like shooting an enemy ship for 15 minutes and it just never sinks. It's really boring, to be honest. But this is sort of all the calibers that I did once again and all of the armor ratings. So that's our St. Louis class, and then we have the light cruiser Emile Bertin. This is one of those where the length is a problem, the bridges were a problem, so this is close to I could get as historically accurate. I don't know why this hull has the ring back here. I couldn't find any pictures where there was a gun back on this ring, but since it was there, I put these on a barbette. One of these guns would be extra. Some of the secondaries along the side are incorrect, but the calibers are correct and some of the placement is correct, like the primaries are correct. This bridge structure is mostly correct, but then I believe this funnel is like over here. So just a few things I couldn't get perfect, unfortunately, and we're at max displacement, so this goes back to my gripe about length. It needs to be, I don't know, the end needs to probably be about here to properly fit everything onto the ship. I also couldn't fit torpedoes on this. There was just nowhere where the torpedoes would fit. There's like an issue right here on the ship where nothing wanted to be placed right here for some reason. So that was rather frustrating, but speed of 34 knots, you can see the propulsion's pretty standard for what you would see in 1940. Either you're going to have the double-geared steam turbines or you're going to jump into diesel. Really just depends what you want for engine efficiency, your funnel efficiency, and then engine vibrations. Shaft 3, auxiliary 2. Some of my ships I went up to 3, some of them I went to shaft 2. Just depends on the ship. This one was a little tight on weight too. I could have probably dropped the barbette down to 3 or so because I believe its flash fire chance is, 0.7%. So I could have saved, it's not going to save a lot, but I could have trimmed a little bit off of the barbettes. I forgot to mention, on all my ships, I like TNT 4 and 2 Powder 3. They just reduce your flash fire chance, and I like their extra shell penetration. This ship, I just realized, only has standard amount of shells. I generally like increased, but it should do fine. Super heavy is something I really like. The developers do a really poor job of explaining the different shell sizes, because under super heavy, it says minus 10% gun base accuracy, minus 10% gun long range accuracy, but you have the plus 3.5% gun range, and shell weight matters a ton, and the further your gun fires, the more accurate it is in the lower range bands, so that like minus base accuracy and minus long range is a little misleading, because at the end of the day the super heavies go further, so their range bands are better. It's kind of a weird concept, but same equipment as all the other ships. I did put some depth charges on this because it looked like it had depth charges historically. The armor's probably completely wrong historically, but I just sort of went with the confines of this light cruiser. I love that light cruisers have much thinner armor. That's the whole concept of a light cruiser. They're more designed for speed. They're not designed for the heavy brawling of bigger cruisers. 34 knots was the speed on this one. Oh, and now the destroyer. I called it the Mogador class. It really isn't. I tried to build a Le Fantastique, or however you pronounce it. I tried to build all the different types of destroyers. The issue is the size and the weight. So I had to shrink this one down and do one funnel to get the offset under 10%. It wanted to be like a 4-weight offset of 20%. So I had to forgo the second funnel. So that allowed me to shrink the ship. But as you see, the rear of the ship is really crowded. This gun can't actually fire completely backwards. Its angle is kind of like off to the side. And then the French destroyers have 5.5-inch guns on them, and that just causes such a nightmare on the destroyer hull. Should be an awesome destroyer though with 5.5-inch guns, but also the bridges are completely inaccurate for the French. The developers really need to look at nation-specific bridges that sort of line up with the historical models. I would also love if they would be a lot of work, but they could, honestly do some sort of like community, like a design campaign or a design. Oh, what's the word I am looking for? I think the developers could do some sort of design challenge for the community where the community designs historical ships and they could have those sort of as presets. That would be absolutely fantastic, but this is the best I could do at making a somewhat French destroyer. It is completely historically inaccurate. You can't fit the torpedoes that you need to. Most of their destroyers had like a set of 3 and a set of 2, or 2 sets of 3, something like that. They love their 22-inch torpedoes, so those didn't fit. I also couldn't fit the RDF radio on there. I just didn't have enough space. I was really cutting corners here. And 3900 was the highest I could go without lengthening it. And as I said, when I lengthened the ship, that 4-weight offset was, I couldn't get it below 10%. And this is already a pitchy and rolly ship, so having an offset on top of it is pretty brutal. 4.2 is like the best I could do. I could have shifted this back a little bit more, but then its fire is almost like a 180, and I really wanted it to angle a little bit further back, so that's as good as I could do for the destroyer. As far as what we built 4 of the Richelieu class off the bat. That was what was proposed by the French. Only the Richelieu and the Jean Bart were built. I'm going to butcher these names terribly. The Clemenceau and the Gascon were developed. I believe the Gascon made it the furthest into being built. Then for the Dunkirk, they built 2, the Dunkirk and the Strasbourg. I am commissioning 4 more as the campaign starts because they are very useful. I made them pretty light and they're pretty fast, so I like that. For the St. Louis, the names are all made up. I just let the game name the ships. I just made a bunch of them to fulfill my needs. As I did in the Italian campaign, the one cruiser class sort of encompasses all of the rest. If I wanted to do a long-term campaign, I could build out all the different cruiser classes, but this is sort of me going in between the historical and the, it's a game. And then for the Emile Bertin, I think only 2 of them were made. I made, of course, more than those, and I just let automatic names work. And then for the Mogador, just built a bunch there. As far as where we are in the world, what I did is I have a battleship group up at Brest, which is 2 battleships, 3 cruisers, and 2 destroyers. I have the same thing at Marseille. And then in Nice, I'm building 2 battlecruisers. In Le Havre, Hav. I'm going to butcher the French names. I'm sorry, guys. Um, there's going to be 2 battle cruisers in Casablanca. I have 2 regular cruisers being built on top of the lights. In Beirut, I have 2 more regular cruisers going into there. I just have a smattering of destroyers around. I have a battle cruiser in Abidjan, and I have some destroyers and light cruisers in the West Indian Ocean. Same with the Americas. And then over in Southeast Asia, I have a battle cruiser, some cruisers, and a destroyer. And then just a random smattering of destroyers and light cruisers throughout the rest. As far as the start of the campaign, I always max out the next shipyard. That just helps your shipbuilding capacity, helps you build super battleships if you want to. Max out crew training, max out tech budget, max out transport capacity, and then I put all of my ships on limited, and I think they're all unlimited, except for my light cruisers, just to give me some sort of power rating in the world. And as you can see here, Germany, Italy, Japan, and I think that's Austria-Hungary, Austria-Hungary are all angry at us, so it's fairly similar to what it would be like in 1940 at this time. And then all the major stuff is researched, so I'm just going to let this do its thing, really. But that is the start of the campaign. I will power through some turns and show you guys any important things that happen. Alright, not a lot exciting has been going on. However, we have the option to invade Venezuela. It will be pretty difficult. It was, I believe, 101,000 tons that we need to send to Venezuela. So we are sending both of our battleship fleets. We'll have about 320,000, so I doubt we'll be able to hit 100%, but should be worth it. As a note, that completely tanked my monthly balance, so I dropped our tech budget all the way down. I mean, this late in the game, there's not a lot of stuff that I truly care about. It's all just, things that are really nice to have versus things that we absolutely need. So thought I would just show you that little update there. So our 2 fleets have arrived, combined 320,000 tons. That gives us about a 54% chance to succeed. So we'll see how it goes. Not the greatest. I do have a couple small ships over here I could reinforce it with, but they're really not going to make too much of a difference with their tonnage. So I think we'll just wait that out and hope. As far as what else is going on, I am building 3 cruisers to bolster some of my interdiction forces. And then I am building 4 battle cruisers, mostly to be in places where I feel like I don't have enough presence. And then I am building 2 additional Richelieu class battleships, so I can have a 3rd fleet. And I'm assuming we will be at war with Italy soon, or Germany. I could poke the bear a little, but I'd like a few more things to fall my way before that happens, especially because these 2 fleets are way across the world. July 1941, and France has gained control of Venezuela. So that's pretty awesome, as Venezuela has some really large ports. But there's also this. We have a chance to take Vanuatu. I'm really struggling with some of the pronunciations there. I'm not entirely sure where that is. Oh, okay, it's a little island out here. So, I didn't realize I had this island down here. I think I have a... Yeah, I have a task force at Cameron Bay, and I will send them out, and that should be large enough. It's a task force of... doesn't say... probably said on the screen before. But it's a fairly decent sized task force that I think will have 100% chance of success. Anyways, in Venezuela, we have Maracaibo, which is nearly 67,000 tons for a port, and Puerto Caballo, which is 65,800. So those are two really nice ports. We already have Cayenne. So I might build a Battlecruiser when I can, or two, and put them in this area. As all I really have is a light cruiser and two destroyers, and this could be a very lucrative area. I mean, we're not at risk of going to war against the United States or England right now, but you never know. Things can always change. But I need to send my ships back home. And I have a feeling that war with Italy could occur any moment now, so I need to be prepared. So move all of these back. And if you look at what's going on here, our battle cruisers are 7 months away, our two new battleships are a year, and then cruisers are a year, and the destroyers are 5 months. So in a year, we will have a third fleet, and I'll feel really, really good about things. But let's see, yeah, negative 98. I feel like next turn we will probably be at war with Italy. I don't see a large fleet presence, but that doesn't mean that they don't have a lot of ships in their port. There's a big possibility that there'll be a land invasion, especially in Africa. I feel like we have the upper hand in Africa for sure. If we do go to war against Italy, I would love to take Sardinia from them. I think that would be a great first step. Land forces will probably invade over here. So let's see what happens on the next turn. So it took 2 turns, but here we go. The Italian Empire has sent us a telegraph, which clearly threatens us for war. So we will take this as I would like to start using our ships. So here's an interesting one for us. I don't really want to go to war with Japan. It's a lot of our money, but I think I need to pay them off and start to try and alleviate tensions with Japan. The big reason here is my only ships near Japan are in a conquest in the Pacific, and I'm at war with Italy, and I'm very close to being at war with Germany. So I just don't have the resources to go to war with Japan right now. So this is really unfortunate. And here we go. Italian Empire initiates a major offensive from Ethiopia against France at the province Djibouti. So let me just show a couple things here. That conquest is a 100% chance to succeed. So really good there. Only 9,700 tons need, and we have nearly 64,000. As far as Ethiopia invading Djibouti, well, that's a pretty small army. Oof. That might be successful on the Italians' part, but there are a lot of battles here. We'll see how many we can do in this episode, but hopefully there's a lot of nice ones in here. I'll just start from the top of the list and check them out. So this is one of our big cruisers against one of their light cruisers. We have a major upper hand. It's a coastal defense. Hopefully they don't try to flee. What is there? They're 36 knots. We are 32.5 knots. So if they flee, there's no chance of us catching them. That is the unfortunate part about that. So the good news is they are within sight immediately. The bad news is he's turning tail and running. And I said this in my previous campaign, the Regia Marina campaign. There should be massive ramifications for the enemy for attacking and fleeing. It's alright if I attack them and they flee, but this is a convoy defense battle, and they're the aggressors here. And they're going to get off scot-free. It'll be 0 victory points to 0 victory points. And I'm not really okay with that. So, as I said, the Italians will get away with a 0-0 draw. I believe that I should earn a lot of victory points as they attacked my convoy. This is a coastal defense battle, it's a convoy defense. And I successfully fended them off, so I feel like I should earn victory points and they should not. I think that would be a nice fix if the devs don't want to fix the whole ghost battle issue. Anyways, the next battle here, well, we have the upper hand here. Let's see if the enemy actually engages us. It is a foggy day. We are on ×30, so that's always a bad start to this. We have the Rochambeau and the Tourville. And based on the fact that 10 minutes have gone by without, well, no, there we go. And they just lead smoke. What can I see here? They are coming, well, now they're turning. Well, they're not fleeing. So this might actually be a real battle, which would be fantastic. What's our range? They probably are already in torpedo range, so I am going to change course here. Slight hit on our ship. We are unsuccessful so far, but our aiming bonus, there we go, penetration, over pen, partial pen, over pen and flooding. Lots of flooding on this little warship over here. I'm going to look towards my ship so I can spot any torpedoes if they fly by my way. That ship is listing heavily, although its flood control is working fairly well, but it's about to sink. Yep, there goes one of their warships. There goes those torpedoes that I was afraid of. So let's do another course correct, as I bet they will launch another salvo of torpedoes. You don't have to do major course corrects all the time. That was a huge hit, 4,200, followed by a 3,000, followed by, I thought I saw 7,500, 17,000. That ship is destroyed, and we blasted them. So overall, a quick battle there. Major victory on our part. All three were sunk. That light damage was incredibly light. I feel really good about our cruisers against their light cruisers. There's a whole slew of battles here. This one, hopefully the enemy does not retreat. It'll be really interesting to see our light cruisers against their light cruisers. It's really interesting though. It looks like their light cruisers are built exactly the same as the ships that were built in my Regia Marina campaign. This is how the British built their ships. Actually, no, it's not. There are not many torpedoes on these. Whereas there are a ton of 2.1 and 3.1 inch guns. What about their destroyers? That's a lot of torpedoes. So let's take this fight and let's hope that the enemy engages us. I really like these small scale engagements as I actually feel nervous during them because light cruiser duels are pretty brutal, and just one little hit can really swing the entire battle. I hope that they are not retreating. It doesn't look like they're retreating. It looks like they are just maneuvering into position. Of course, the smoke. I said this in the Regia Marina campaign. I absolutely hate how the AI uses smoke. It is completely inaccurate. Not how you would do it. You use smoke to obscure yourself when retreating, not when engaging. I can go on. I should have been on ×10. So let's see how they are coming straight toward us. Let's move this way because that ship is going on a flanking maneuver, and let's just put it. Wow. See, that's what I mean. Right away, big hits on our cruiser. That is absolutely brutal. I don't think we have landed anything yet. And it's because the enemy uses smoke in a very strange manner. Alright, we have some partial pens there. Hopefully our flooding... yep, we are done flooding, so hopefully we can regain control of this battle. Those opening hits by the enemy were absolutely brutal. Hopefully we can return the favor very soon. There's a fire on board their ship. This looks like a light cruiser. That is a ton of secondaries. I think they just launched torpedoes. I am going to do a slight course correct right here. Looks like we have another flood, unless that's a flood from before. Our secondaries are in range. They are turning into us. I will do a slight course correction. I feel like a torpedo barrage is on the way. We don't have any torpedoes in these ships, that's right. These ships were very difficult for us to build. I think all of the secondaries that we have should absolutely wreck those light cruisers, and sure enough, it looks like they are. I want to... There we go. There's torpedoes. Oh, did that hit? Oh, wow. What a dodge. That was a really risky dodge on my part. Alright, in that, I missed that one of their ships sunk. Let's continue blasting them. Ooh, nasty hit. These light cruiser duels are really bloody because neither side has any armor. That's why I loaded my light cruisers up with tons and whoa, why? No, I hate this feature in the game. Absolutely hate it. I wish there was a way to lock formation where it would never, ever, 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 ever do this. Oh, what just happened there? God, they still have the same issues. They really need to fix their formations. I don't want my formation to change ever without me changing it. So the fact that they override that is really, really frustrating. I mean, there were torpedoes incoming during that, and I completely lost control over what my ships were doing. And to me, that's completely unacceptable. What is Beauregard doing? Come on. I don't know what Beauregard's doing. Or Bougad. It's the American in me. Let's see, what is it doing? Come on, dude. Okay. You have to, like, give AI control and then take it back, and very, very bizarre stuff. There's an incoming torpedo, but we should be able to dodge it. These torpedoes feel incredibly slow. It says we can end the ooh, that's, that torpedo was sneaky. Okay. It says we can end the battle, but we should be able to pick on this guy. I feel like screening is absolutely useless now. Oh, he went to battle line. That's so weird. Let's just bring him in the battle line. And let's try to take this this destroyer out. You can see how much that override like completely destroyed my battle plans there. That took far too long to correct everything, and then this ship bugged out. I had to put it on AI and then take it off in order for me to regain control of my ship, and it looks like its speed is off too. Well, no, it's in a normal formation, so maybe its speed is fine. That ship is taking a beating, and that just looks like the small secondary guns that are hitting it. You can see how fast our 3.5 and 1.5 inch guns fire against these targets. There's a torpedo. Ooh. Will we? Yes. That was a nice torpedo strike from the enemy there. Thankfully, our ships are really maneuverable. Let's go for a little cinematic. I won't turn the UI off, but you can see that we are just pummeling that ship with our secondaries. I don't even know... Yeah, our primaries are firing, but they're not the ones doing the majority of the damage. That destroyer looks like it is either coming straight toward us or fleeing, but it's going to go down. Feel really good about our light cruisers. I really like the build of these light cruisers. In our Regia Marina campaign, I was not too happy with how my light cruisers performed. I learned a lesson there and just went for a ton of secondaries. So pretty awesome. Let's see. Main gun accuracy, not great. Not great at all. So we haven't even been at war for, what, 2 months? And the Italian government is desperately suing for peace. You know what? No. We're going to keep fighting. So, large victory there. Another convoy battle. It's 1 cruiser against a light and 2 destroyers. We'll see if this battle actually happens. The AI might think that it's even, but this isn't even whatsoever unless I just take a terrible torpedo spread and am not paying attention. Let's go to ×10, see what these ships are before they lay smoke. Does not look like they are fleeing, so that is a very good sign. So I need to decide how to engage them, and I think I will go... Yeah, I think I'll run parallel to them. Nope, they're changing course. So this won't be parallel. They are... That looks like they just launched torpedoes. Let's do a slight course correction here. We are ranged in on the light cruiser, and it is taking massive flooding damage. I really, really like the changes to armor penetration, armor, and accuracy of weapons. I feel like the battles are a nice pace. Keep in mind, we're generally running these battles at ×5, so they would be much slower at a regular pace. But there is one cruiser down, onto their destroyers, and as I said, this should be an easy win. Wow. This ship has a pretty extreme turning radius. Oh, can we split these torpedoes? Wow. That was not great dodging, but it worked out. I should have been clipped by that last one. I tried to split the torpedoes and completely failed. But I must have fishtailed just perfectly. So that was a large spread, so that makes me think it was their destroyers that launched those, not the cruiser before it sank. Alright, we are starting to hit. That was a big hit on their destroyer. Instant flooding in the engine room. It's sinking already. Paper thin. And so it should be. An 8-inch gun should absolutely wreck a destroyer. There's an ammo detonation, and that destroyer is going down. Another victory for the French Navy. All 3 of their ships have been sunk, so let's see what the final battle is. Light cruiser on light cruiser. Let's see if they will take this one. So far, the game's been pretty decent about ghost battles. One ghost battle, if you all recall from the Regia Marina campaign, it felt like the French would not face us. Bad thing about this one, we're already on ×30, although now it's dropped down to ×10. See, no, the enemy's retreating. Oh well. And it's a one-on-one fight, and we're both light cruisers. It's, just hit retreat so it's easier to go. Alright, I'll meet you on the other side. Alright, not a bad start to the war and to the series. That'll be it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think. And just as a quick reminder, the developers are resetting saves quite often on the beta branch, so these beta branch series might be pretty short. The Regia Marina one was only 5 episodes. I'll see how many episodes I can record. I'll try to record these quickly back to back, so I have enough footage to hopefully do at least another 5 episodes of this series. If you all have made it this far, I greatly appreciate you, and as always guys, until next time. If you enjoyed this content and would like to see more, please like, subscribe, and comment below.